Hello and welcome to another episode of BergenStages Television, our entertainment magazine here at Bergen Community College. I am Jim Bumgardner, your host, and today we are going to have an amazing show for you because we not only have a person who was a star here at BergenStages, but also an alumni of Bergen Community College and has a great story to tell us. So please join me in welcoming LJ Hickmon, known to professionally as L. James.
Yes.
But we'll call LJ is good, yeah?
Yeah, I love it.
Good,
Yeah.
good. So welcome to the show, LJ.
Yeah.
Or welcome back, because it's been a few years ago you were here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I think let's just, as an alum, we want to talk about your whole journey, but we'd love to know how you got here in the first place, how Bergen even became on your radar to come to Bergen.
Yeah, I came a year after high school, and I took a few classes. My dad gave me a choice of taking one class. He was like, well, you have to take a class to prove that you're ready for college. And I was like, okay, acting. So then the next semester, I ended up taking 2 classes. And as you see the pattern is starting, I was like, you know what? I have to be able to afford this on my own. And I ended up joining the military.
Right.
And I served, 2001 to 2005. And after that, I was working and was missing the theater, but I didn't know that yet. And I was living in Texas at the time where I got out, and I ended up coming back up here around like 2006. And this is when MySpace was out. Lord have mercy.
It's okay. I had one too.
Yeah. You know how you do on MySpace. I was like, oh, back in Jersey, And I get a message from Brendan Joel Bartlett.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
yes.
Message, and we had been in class years back, right? We actually had acting class with Mary Clifford at the time, like years back. Right?
Years back.
So he hits me up and he's like, "What's your phone number?" And I'm like, "Oh, gave my number." And he calls me like 5 minutes later. And he's like, it's just like just drills. He's like, "Don't have the time to talk. We'll catch up another time. We need a Kit Kat boy." And I'm like, "What's a Kit Kat boy?" And he's like, "Oh, it's cabaret. Have you read cabaret?" I'm like, "Brendan, I've been in the military for the last 10 years. I don't know what a Kit Kat boy is." He's like, "Well, listen, we need somebody for theater. Say you can do it or not." And I was like, "Sure, I'll do it." I wasn't doing anything. And from there, it just pretty much, I had that experience with cabaret.
And this was at the community
theater, yes, in Hackensack.
Hackensack.
In Hackensack.
Okay, cool.
And from there, I was doing community theater, and then I was like, you know what, I want to go back to school. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, but I was taking acting classes here when I was here. And that trickled into, okay, I'm just an actor.
Good. So let me go back just a little bit further. So were you in high school interested in theater? Did you perform or do anything?
I did. I took acting class. I performed in anything that was in the school, but my parents were like, it's from the household where it's like, hey, you have to think of something else as far as like, oh, you're good, but always have a backup plan.
Yeah, right.
So,
Plan B,
yeah, exactly.
And where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in North Chicago.
Okay.
It was my
I thought so.
first time because my stepfather was in the military at the time.
Uh-huh.
And then I ended up moving here with my father and my stepmom, and I finished my school out in Patterson at Kennedy High School.
Oh, cool. And so you did a little bit of theater. So you already had the bug had bitten you. You knew you loved doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the journey through the military, I think, is kind of important about the project you're taking on now that we'll talk about in just a little bit. But so joining the military, having a stepfather that's in the military, obviously was, I guess, some a way to sway you to decide that, or was it 2001 and 9/11 that swayed it, or just I need to financially be stable and this is the best route to take?
Well, yeah, it was a financially stable thing.
Yeah.
And also too, I have family members who have served, so that was like kind of the path for my family, being either military, nurses, or teachers.
Yep.
And I was like,
Totally.
Well, the other two, I'm not really smart. No.
I'm an Air Force angel, so I know how important the
yeah.
military can be for
Yeah,
young people especially.
And plus, they were offering school at the time. they were offering a bonus, and there was no war at the time. So I was like, oh, this is the perfect time to go in. Yeah, I signed up for 3 years.
So where did you serve? 3 years you were?
I served in, my basic was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Yeah, oh.
And the deal at the time was, because it was like no wartime, was if you come in, you get this much for school, and you can have any choice of anywhere you want to go.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, cool. And I ended up getting some nice chunk of change for school, and they had this cool program when you got in was that if you put in, the money you put in, the Army would double it.
Wow.
So I built my college fund through serving that way. So I think that was the smartest thing I did at 21. I was like, oh, I'm going to invest.
Who would ever make that? Yeah.
In myself.
Yeah,
That's what I ended up doing. So, but the deal was you come in, you get college money, and then you can go anywhere you want to go. And my choice was, I remember my choice being Hawaii was the first choice. And because I had this vision of myself on a motorcycle on an island, and like very Top Gun-ish, but like, no. But I ended up switching my choice. I was like, you know what? I want to go to Korea. I want to go to Asia. When would I ever go?
Korea's great too, as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. I had a great time. And that's where I ended up serving.
In Korea. Oh, great. Good.
Yeah.
In Seoul? Was it in Seoul or?
No, I was 12 miles from the DMZ.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, south of that. Yeah, it was interesting because technically they're not done with war. So it's a war zone.
It's still a war zone.
Yeah. I've had the pleasure of, I don't know if it's pleasure, but I saw the DMZ. I've been on it, and it was interesting. It opened my eyes to the world.
Yeah.
Things in the world
that you're not going to see. A kid from Chicago is not going to see that world like he has seen it.
Right.
So cool.
Yeah.
So then, now jump back ahead. So you end up back in Bergen County, and you'd already taken classes before you served. So that brought you back to Bergen to finish your degree.
Yes.
And when did you decide to be an acting major? Was there a theater major, just kind of like, that's what I'm going to do now? This is.
Oh man, I think it took me a semester.
Okay. Yeah. You get some of the gen eds taken care of. You say, well, you're going to take this and that, but let's decide to be an acting major.
Yeah.
And then while you were here, BergenStages was so thrilled to have you in several different things. I was trying to remember. I think Kiss Me Kate, could that have been your first with us?
Yeah, I think so.
And then A Man for All Seasons.
Man for All Seasons.
Angels in America.
Yes.
Three Penny Opera.
Yes.
Am I forgetting it? So there's the four that.
Spelling Bee.
Spelling Bee, right. 25th Annual Putnam.
And then Director's Lab, like.
Right, you did one acts and that sort of thing as well. So we kept you pretty busy here.
Yeah.
All great shows. I think you were top performers in all of them, which is always such fun work with you. And I had the pleasure of directing you in 2 out of all those. So that was kind of fun too. Then you graduated and moved to Ramapo.
Yes.
And you chose Ramapo for their theater program to get in there. And tell us a little bit about the Ramapo experience.
I loved Ramapo. It was close. But I liked the idea. I loved their theater and the kind of theater that they were putting on with newer works. And I don't know, Peter Campbell, Maria Vale, Tara Vandergraal, they were all, Steve Perry, they were, Rachel Boudin, Beba, Mary Ellen.
A lot have retired.
Yeah, I love that whole squad. And all of them are like retired now.
And then you also had you got to work with Rafael Bianciotto to be in his Candide.
Yes.
Which was, which takes you on the next journey, I think, along the way here there. So it was great. They've got a great theater program, and it seamlessly moves from Bergen right into Ramapo as a rising junior.
Because we have a wonderful relationship.
Great relationship to come as a rising junior and complete your theater degree with them. You did it in 2 years. You did it really quick. You were done. It was like, what? It's finished. So you had done Candide. And tell us the journey to Kennedy Center and what the Kennedy Center nominations are.
Tara, so your director gets to nominate you for the Irene Ryan Award, which Tara sweetly nominated me for that. And the Kennedy Center program, the College Festival program, it breaks up the United States, all the colleges, into 8 regions, and I ended up winning Region 2.
And what did you do at this competition?
Oh, yes. At the competition, you come in with the scene. You have 2 scenes, and they're contrasting scenes. There's other things in the competition I can't remember at the moment. But it's full of like directors, writers, singers, and they all come together, and you basically get on the stage and you show everybody what you can do.
Did you do something from Candide, or you could do anything you wanted?
No, you could do anything you want.
Oh, cool. Okay,
yeah,
great.
I ended up doing. So my first year at Ramapo, I ended up going with Sam Simone.
Right.
I was her partner, and we ended up going. And I did 2 scenes with her, and I wasn't a competing person. I wasn't nominated. Sam was. So my second year, Tara, nominated me, and I became a contestant, and we were in. Pennsylvania, that was there, and I ended. Oh, why am I touching my mic? We were in Pennsylvania. I ended up winning that competition, which sends you to Washington D.C. to
with all the other people that won from their regions.
Out of their regions, and you end up meeting this group of wonderful people, and it's a whole weekend of all these workshops, master classes, and some people who I'm still friends with, who I still talk to, which is amazing, and keeping up with them. Who are now in the theater world. That
was year 1. So that was year 1.
That was year 2
year
for me,
2.
actually.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I ended up, I ended up winning the prize, the BASA Award.
Which is
the Voice and Speech Award. And I ended up winning the classical, best. It wasn't a classical award. It was something else. Best voice and speech, I think, or something else. But it was classical, and I ended up winning the Bernard Shaw
nationwide.
Yes,
you
nationwide.
Competed nationwide, and you won this award.
Yes,
Yay,
yeah. It was really fun. I hope to be on that stage again in the Kennedy Center. It was an amazing experience.
Oh, totally! It's what a great space on top of it.
Oh, so wonderful.
Not too intimidating to.
Right? Oh my God. And so I ended up being a guest artist at the Shaw Theater in Bernard Shaw Theater up in
near Toronto.
Niagara on the Lake.
Yep,
Niagara on the Lake, and that's a real town, Niagara on the Lake, Canada, for a month, which was great.
So, what did you do at the Shaw Festival?
I was a guest artist, and I got to have the full perks of being an artist, which was except for performing on with the regular season, I got to experience master classes. I got to experience the Alexander technique and see other theaters in the area, Stratford Festival, all that stuff. And I ended up, I did end up performing kind of like a class-like performance. So the company would come watch me work on a scene that I worked on while I was there.
But were there other students up there with you?
No, it was just me.
So you performed with people from the company. Is that what you did?
Well, no. Yes, I actually did. Yeah.
Oh, okay, and so the classes were with company members?
Yeah.
So when you did Alexander Technique and all those kind of things, you were working, the company members also took those same classes.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
It was really fun.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So and then you got to see all these shows while you were up there as well, which is
endlessly
amazing theater.
I watched Sweeney Todd like 8 times.
Sweeney Todd.
It was so good. It was so good.
Is there a role in there for you?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Sweeney. I would love to.
I think you'd be great, Sweeney.
Yeah.
One day we'll pick that one. We'll put that in,
I would love that.
Come back and do it. Good. So you finished at the Shaw Festival. Now I know you got the scholarship to Florida, but tell us where the scholarship came from. What was that?
So during the regional competitions, they bring in some colleges, and they also have the same kind of format where they have classes, that whole weekend.
It's not URTA though. It's not
It's not URTA.
It's not URTA, but it's just they just happen to have these recruiting offices are there, or
they just FSU just happened to be there.
Cool.
And they'll have like people from all kinds of theaters nationwide come and be a judge for the competition.
And you're in Pennsylvania at this point.
I'm in Pennsylvania.
So there you're in Pennsylvania competing.
Yeah.
And one of the judges
was from FSU.
Okay, cool.
Which is Andre Babalev.
Okay.
And he was wonderful. He was a judge. And while I was there, I was a senior at the time. So Maria Vale was like, one of my professors was like, LJ, I think like grad school, like see what you think of it. You should probably audition. And I was like, sure, why not? I mean, I'm here, I might as well. And this is before I thought about even going to the URTAs and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because this is like around January. So time is coming, time is ticking, right? So I auditioned for Andre, and we worked on this scene from The Winter's Tale, and he, hey, how about this way? Try it this way and this way. And it was like a great collaboration or feel
right
with him.
In Pennsylvania, you were
in
doing
Pennsylvania.
This? Wow,
cool,
and
I ended up winning the competition, and I remember him coming up to me and saying, "Hey, where are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, New Jersey." He's like, "Well, the IRTAs, I'm like, "What's that?" And he tells me about it, and he's like, "Meet me in New York." I was like, "Okay."
So now we're in mid-spring at this point?
And I ended up going to IRTAs because I had spoken to Marie and my professors, and they were like, "I think that you would try grad school, see what you think. Just go check it out, the IRTAs, and see if there's anything that you gravitate towards." And so I started my push for grad school. I was like, well, let me see what's out there. I feel like I
Look
need
at them all.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went to the IRTAs, and Andre was there. I met Andre, and the IRTAs is you go in and it's a cattle call for grad schools, and it's so funny because you go in there, you have 2 minutes, they will cut you off.
That's it. Hold on, I thought we were going to take a quick break. We're going to take a break. We're talking to LJ Hickmon about his journey through Bergen Community College and to life. So come right back. Hello and welcome back to BergenStages Television. I'm Jim Bumgardner, and today we have a very special guest, LJ Hickmon, who is a BergenStages star performer and also an alumnus of Bergen Community College. And we're talking about your journey to get to where you are today. And we've been on a wonderful trajectory, and we were talking about the decision about grad schools. Did you ever in your life think LJ's going to go to grad school? Was that ever a Okay, cool, cool. So here's this new thought put in here by Maria Vel. So you go to IRTA, and it is a cattle call. You're talking about being a cattle call.
Yeah.
Which is tons of actors are there, and how many schools are there to watch?
Depending on the year, that year in the room alone were 40 schools.
40 schools. So 40 schools are watching actors one at a time come in with their 2 minutes, and they leave, and then they have callbacks afterwards that you meet them in the hall or in their.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So this particular year was at a hotel, and so you had they took over all the banquet halls.
I'm sure, yeah.
And you also had schools that were online as well, so they're watching you, and you have 2 minutes, and no matter where you're at, if you're on the floor or whatever you're doing, they're like, "Thank you," and you leave.
You're out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so you wait. I think it was I waited an hour, and then I got a call back from whatever school, and I was scheduled to go see them all. And I had prepared myself like I don't in any other space in my life. But I had prepared myself with questions about anything and everything.
Good.
What you expect from a grad program, and I still wasn't prepared, but it was a good launching pad. To start with.
Good. But you stuck with FSU. That was
yes.
And so you went down. And how's the program? It was 3-year program. Well,
3 years.
Because you're 3 years with
3 years.
And how was the program?
What a time to be alive. Meaning, such a transition in theater was happening. As far as what we were saying before about the union, the way the union was changing.
Right.
The way the country was changing. And it's changing the trajectory of theater about diversity and long-awaited changes, right?
Yeah. Actors have been waiting to play these roles, and now kind of the door opened up and said, "Of course you can. What are we thinking? Are we stupid?" Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what a time to change, and also so that informs me because theater is changing. That means that the classroom was changing from, you can attest to this, it went from some programs were fear-based programs, some programs were all the same, which is break you down to build you up, and that kind of format hasn't changed.
No.
Now that
the competition was so intense, and they grilling you that way as opposed to saying, loving your craft, they would just beat it into you. It's like, well, I don't know that I like this anymore.
Right.
So that has had a wonderful transition.
Which I'm still figuring out some tools, and I will say that I was blessed to be given all these tools while I was there, and decided whether to take them or not. I'm still discovering tools
and they're there in your kit if you need them.
If I ever need them.
Whatever you have to pull over. And pull out there.
I am grateful.
And how many grad students do they take?
12 a year.
I thought 12. It's a small group.
It is, right?
Yeah, which is great. Then you get the focus of what you need to focus, and you're not suddenly competing with 40, 50 students. So I think that's 12. And now they also have a theater connected with FSU there.
Yes.
And the theater is
Oslo.
Oslo
yeah.
Conservatory. Yeah. And that's an equity theater.
Yes.
And so as a grad student, you don't perform there, or do you finally get to perform there, or do you?
Oh, so your first year you have understudy duties. So you have to take an understudy track. That's the way it works, right? And you may or may not go on. Some years people have gone on right away, so always be prepared. And then your second year, you have a conservatory season, which is, it's just the 12 of you, and they split. There's like, the format they do is the first show is all of you, then they split you up for the 2 shows in between, then the last show is always Shakespeare, and it's all of you together.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. And
Just the 12.
Just the 12.
Now, another group of 12 are coming in behind you, so this first year's so now,
Yeah.
but there's no intermingling.
It depends,
Okay.
because even my first year, I ended up on the stage for the conservatory season because they needed more people.
Cool.
So you had like 2 or
Okay.
4 lines.
The
here and
opportunity
there.
to be there.
Yeah. And then your third year, you're selected to go back to the theater company, which is Oslo Repertory Theater, and you end up either getting a role or you understudy. Either way, you're part of the company, which is great.
So then you leave with your BFA, or MFA, your MFA, your Master of Fine Arts, and your equity card. Or
Yes. You've obtained your equity, your equity points for equity card. Yeah.
And you felt ready. It's time to get your equity card. You knew that it was time.
I kind of did. At least my wife did. She was like, "You can't do community theater no more.
Right.
It's time for you to live in your town."
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but
Nothing's
you've got
wrong with
enough
it. No.
credits.
I got enough credits
at this point. And I think there's
Yeah.
a point that people think as an 18-year-old, they want to quickly get their equity card.
Right.
And I always say, take your time. Get your resume in order, right?
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting because I had done, at this point I had done community theater. Remember, I was coming back and forth between colleges to do a play.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And also in my spare time doing community theater. And just because I was such a fiend for it.
Well, you want to perform.
I want to perform,
perform. That's,
And it is a question of like, that was a big question when I was about to get out was, hey, you get more work if you're not union. You know, you throw yourself into a bigger pool, an ocean
of talented people. Yeah.
And I don't know, I felt like I was ready.
That's good.
At this point.
I think that's it. I think in your soul you kind of know that this is time to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I would love, there is more opportunity, yes, to work more. There is a give and take, right? But I'm excited about my decision.
I think it's a great decision. Yeah. And then part of that, I know that you have worked on some shows outside of the campus too. I know that Mark Altschuler here at the college spotted you in the park.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I did Shakespeare in the park. That's how I met some other people from like NYU.
In Sarasota.
Yeah. We had oh my God, that's so funny. That is
Totally forgot.
Yeah, I did forget.
This is your life.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, good times at the park.
So you're doing Shakespeare in the park, and Mark had seen you there, and then you've met obviously some really talented writers and directors, and your Rolodex can never be too full. These are people that always matter. Maybe not an immediate, but so there's a project you're working on now called Backwards, Forwards, Back.
Yes.
And did this start in Florida?
No.
Where did it begin?
Actually, yeah, it did start in Florida.
I thought it did.
That's so funny. I'm thinking about grad school again.
Right.
But yeah, it did start in Florida. The Urbanite Theater, which are FSU alum. At the time, it was run by 2 alum, Summer Dawn Wallace and Brennan Reagan. Now it's just headed by Summer Dawn Wallace, who's amazing. Please check out the Urbanite Theater. They do amazing work in Sarasota. And I remember...
There's so much great theater in Florida. Sorry to interrupt. There's just so much great theater. People forget.
There really is.
That
you can have a whole career down there.
Totally.
And
you bounce from theater to theater, and you're constantly working. And
it's amazing. I know a couple of actors who just like, that's where they are in Florida.
They don't need to. They're like, aren't you going to New York? Oh, why? I can audition here.
Yeah, and then Disney's right there.
And then on top of it,
yeah, they're
the theme
Universal, they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And film.
And film, yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, so I remember it was after COVID, and I get a call from Brendan, and he was like, hey, do you have 2 hours to spare? And I was like, okay. He's like, I'm sending you a play right now. I was like, okay, cool. And at this point, I had been lucky enough to have this reading to work through, all through COVID. So that kind of paid for my lights, my audition lights, and all that stuff like that. But I was looking for actual work, and this is when theater was about to come back, was starting to come back.
Right.
And
tend to people do smaller shows? They were
Yes.
looking small cast shows,
Yes.
just so that we didn't spread anything amongst the cast. So
Yeah.
it was great to look at these small shows.
Right. And then, you know what's funny? And I didn't even expect it to be a one-person play. I was like, oh yeah, like a show. And there was this work, backwards, forwards, back, and I was like, oh.
What's it
when I read
about?
it. So it's about a veteran, which at the time, it's open gender, the play. And it's about a soldier who has PTSD and is living with it and is given an ultimatum by his family after an outburst.
Horrific incident. Yep.
Yes,
yep,
a horrific
yep.
incident. And is given an ultimatum to get help, seek help. And seeking help through VR therapy, which is a new therapy that is introduced recently, which is pretty much exposure therapy. And so reading this, I don't know the journey per se about VR therapy at the time, but I do know, being a veteran, I know friends who have PTSD. And that was my way of giving back to and serving my community.
Oh, cool.
Is taking up this play.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And is it based on a true story? Is it loosely based on someone's journey?
So the writer, Jacqueline Goldfinger, that's her real name, I love that.
I love the name too.
name.
I think it's great.
Was basing it off a family member
Oh, okay. I
and their journey.
figured there was some autobiographical or biographical sketch in there. So
and
cool.
had also taken they had read the article about VR therapy and took their journey and put them together.
Great. And what do you hope to do with the show? There'll be a reading of it, getting feedback.
Yeah.
What is the journey after this with that show, or do you know at this point what you guys want to do?
I want to enter it into festivals.
Cool.
And I would love to bring it to the city.
Good.
And get some awareness out there, because there are veterans that are actors, and there are actors who are there are veterans who are actors in this world, in the creative world, and how they get through their PTSD, how they cope is through art. That's what art is about, right?
Yep.
And giving voice to this community, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
That's just amazing. And then I know we just have a couple more minutes left, but I just want to, you've also been working in some film and television work as well, in the city or just around. And then in the summers, you've been doing something kind of cool.
Yeah, I just had a movie come out on the premiere nationally. Yay. My first feature film, which is called Zombie Wedding. Go check it out. You can rent it on Amazon, you can rent it on Apple. There are a couple other sources too.
And this has history of you guys doing Zombie Wedding
here as a play.
Here as a play.
And
then it finally moved to the movie, and you're the only one from the original group that's in the film. Cool.
Yeah.
And then you've been doing Shakespeare up in New England.
Yes, Shakespeare and Company in Lenox, Massachusetts. A storied, beautiful, historic theater.
Oh, nice.
They've been up there for a long time.
How many shows do you do in the summer? How many?
Usually, my first year was one, but one. It depends.
Oh, okay.
Because this year I did two, and the year before I did two, and then the other years are like one.
Just one. Yeah. But it's a great opportunity to.
It is a great opportunity to do outdoor theater. And I've graduated to inside, so I'm excited about that. The AC
Don't have
is
to
great.
talk so loud.
Yeah.
No bugs fly in the mouth or anything like that.
Oh my God. But yeah, it's amazing. I encourage everybody to come up there. It's in the Berkshires. It's a nice little. I mean, most of our audience are New Yorkers. So
Coming up for the summer.
Coming up for the summer or even the weekend. It's a good getaway.
LJ, this has been so amazing talking to you.
Yeah,
you're just such an inspiration to our students
Yeah.
and a pride to the faculty and staff here at Bergen. And I know I speak for Ramapo College as well for all your journey. So best of luck. Thank you for being in the show. And we can't wait to see you on Broadway really soon. Thank you again for watching our special spotlight on an alumnus. LJ has just been wonderful to have at the college, and I know we will be seeing him on Broadway soon. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.